that's. And then just. Option. Can I say how much you want? I'm about to leave, Christopher, if you want.
Oh, we have to do better. Come get you.
No, don't go and get me. Follow the directions.
Red button.
I'll need to get one.
Oh, water pipes. Oh, correct.
Space shuttle. Space shuttle.
Someplace sort of a physical.
He's at the airport. He said he's in like the Denver airport.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're live. Have a good meeting.
Thank you. All right, I'll go ahead and call to order this March 27, 2024 meeting of the Heritage Tree. And first, I'll begin not with a roll call, but perhaps you could all just introduce yourselves by name. Would you mind starting, please?
Eric Wiggins.
Christopher McMorrin.
Kevin Fear.
Gianna Bernardini.
Ruth Causey.
Graham Cedars. John Simonson.
Gary Black.
Thank you very much. Okay.
And then
Don't forget about me,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Matt Lehman.
Joining us live from
just because I'm really
Denver.
Denver. Sort of business is the approval of the March 30, 2023 minutes. Do I have a motion to approve? Make that motion then. Do I have a second? Let's see, all in favor of approving the minutes as presented, please raise your hand and say aye.
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 You. Okay, I did want to note that there was an item 6 of those minutes. There was to be some follow-up on the black cottonwood, and I'm just wondering what the status of that tree is, or if there's any more information.
I think there was some question about the tree canopy or where the new intake structure is going. I believe it's far enough away. I talked with the engineer and he told me how far away it was from the tree itself. It was way outside the distance.
Let's see, do we want to reconsider this tree as a heritage tree? Or would someone like to nominate it as a heritage tree?
We'll nominate it.
Wait, which
The black cottonwood on 9th Street, South 9th.
So. The one in the woods, that big.
it already is.
I kind of was under the impression that it
I thought it
already
was too.
Yeah, we got slack and everything.
with the question of the proximity to the trenching.
I think the only thing that didn't make it last time was the grove sequoias, right?
Yeah.
So it's in there.
So this one already is.
I think maybe because this committee didn't meet again after there was that question of the distance between,
Okay,
of ensuring that it would be okay, and I think that. Were you included in the email about that, or did you not?
probably, but that was
Okay, so
some
you're.
time ago. I'm so sorry.
how dare you?
That's why we should have a younger child. I know you tried. Let's see. Okay, so with that in mind, I will move on to this year's nominations. Is this 1 or 3 trees? Just 1? 3. Okay, thank you. The Douglas firs at 146. And do you want to discuss these individually, or do you want to? Okay. Are there any comments about this tree?
I was just curious about the property owner. Is it a rental property? Okay. And do we have any idea like about along the tenant? Like I'm curious if anyone's talked to the people who live there about this. But
Yeah, they're excited about it.
Okay,
They have
okay.
photos. When I talked to them, they ran out and brought out pictures. She
Oh,
had
cool, okay.
historical photos showing
Okay.
the trees and the neighborhood and all of that. So the tenants themselves are very excited about the
Okay,
idea, as is
cool.
the property owner.
okay, that was I think my only question on it. But yeah.
Yeah. They're enthusiastic.
Any other comments, questions,
I guess
discussion?
I live literally like right around the corner from this. So cool to see them on here because I see them every day. So yeah.
They are very cool.
I wish I had more historical information, because my guess is that there's an interesting story there. I mean, it's an old house.
Right.
And the owner told me that he thinks that whoever lived there was somehow affiliated with the college, you know, which makes sense. I mean, a house that size then, of that age, presumably there was a connection, but they don't know, and I haven't dug up any of that. That would make the trees, what, 140? Which, based on their size, seems accurate-ish. But I don't know. I mean, also based on where they are in relation to the house, it would make sense that they were planted, I would think, when the house was there, since they sort of frame the size of the house. And
Well, there's three of them right there, so
Yeah.
they were probably planted when they were small.
right. But I'm saying they were likely a part of the planting of the house.
Or shortly after, I would say.
That's true.
Yeah. No, I personally, I like all of the firs. I'm just not really a fan of the multi-leader as a specimen of the
Oh.
Douglas fir.
Yeah. All right.
I like the single leader.
A nice, like,
Nice,
clean
straight
form.
shape,
uh-huh.
single trunk, like the pine.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
To be honest, this one I really like these trees a lot, but I'm not as hell bent on these as much as I am some of the other ones. Part of it is that I do feel like it feels like we ought to have a Doug fir representative
Sure.
just because of the importance of that tree. Somebody was like, "Are those the biggest ones in town?" And I was like, "I don't know. They're large. I can't think of another one that I've seen that is clearly larger, particularly the one on the right. I mean, it's big, round, you know,
There's a couple, three of them up on Needle.
56. Exactly, and somebody talked to me about those, and I went to one of those, and it was similar, but not quite as.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I say, if somebody had another Doug fir that they felt like was more deserving, I would certainly be open to that. That said, I mean, the fact that they are a multi-leader is part of what I think makes them cool looking, but I'm saying that as a lay person and not an arborist. So.
Well, personally, I have a tendency to get kind of stuck into that, best example of the species.
Exactly, you have the Platonic
Instead of-
ideal in mind.
Differences within, and that's normal. But I think, from looking at these trees personally, I think that they probably had maybe 15 or 20 years, and somebody did something at the top. That's why all three of these trees are multi-leadered at a similar point.
Yeah.
And the one on the right,
Uh-huh.
it's got, three dominant leaders, and then that one little guy that sticks off toward the street.
What do you think happened to them?
Somebody did something to the
Somebody just
top. It's not like they got a lightning strike. Something happened to them.
Wanted to see out of their second story window.
Oh, probably. Probably it.
There's a lot less houses back when those trees were planted, so it's kind of hard to imagine what the landscape is like then, but I'm sure, it's definitely a possibility.
Interesting.
So
View clearing is nothing new.
if you top the trees, do they then spread?
Yes.
Yeah, so all of those tops are basically branches that
Yeah.
then took over apical dominance in the tree, and they're all competing for you know, and this has happened a long time ago, so this can be a stability issue with trees, and with these, it's probably hard to say without a more thorough inspection of them, but they've been this way for, you know, probably 100 years or more.
The owner told me that they were cabled up there. I didn't see that, but I see.
I didn't notice a cable.
Me neither.
Could be. Cables are a lot harder to see than the dynamic systems that you put in today, which are pretty visible. You know, you look, you see, easy. Some cables, especially in firs, if the canopy is very dense, on the interior, it just disappears. You also have to use binoculars and follow the leaders to find tie-in points.
When you say a stability issue, is that because of wind and their ability to?
It's partially that. The general idea is that if you make a large topping cut in a tree, that's a very difficult room for the tree to compartmentalize. And so you have branches that are often attached on the outside of that large topping cut with the combination of possible decay in that stem that's working. So it's a point where you can have decay issues that weaken that tree over time, and often large limbs that are attached on the outside of that main stem. So, like I said, with this, it's been this way for 100 years. So it's, you know, without other indicators of those trees, I don't necessarily think it's likely, but it definitely has the potential to be an issue.
You know, the reason I like it is because they're smack dab in the front yard, you know, and it could be easy for someone to say I bought this house and it's like, well, I don't want those 3 massive trees in my front yard. But this makes them more special, and they've been there a long time.
I'm kind of with Eric on this, though. I would like to see for a heritage tree more than just that's a big tree. You know, like we do have big trees, and these obviously are large and fairly old Douglas firs for in town, but they're not the specimen tree of
Right.
Douglas fir, and they're, I don't know, I think that there's a better candidate for that.
Do you know?
I don't know what, but I think that when I look at this set of trees, I look at something that is it's a rental property. You know, the trees like this, if we do have, you know, one of the ways that fir trees break is they let go of their large limbs if we have wind and ice events. And so you have a tree like these that are complex, and we have an ice storm and they lose tons of limbs. It's difficult to persuade a property owner, especially of an investment property, that these trees are worth the potential liability of keeping them. And I would like, since we don't actually have like formal protections of trees that are a part of our heritage tree program, I would like to see trees that are relatively healthy, that we can make a good case for why someone should keep them, aside from it just being a large tree. So with these, I imagine it being a potential I don't know. I would just like to see something that's a little bit more, less likely to be a tree that someone's going to want to remove because it's a liability.
I can say from talking to the owner, who I didn't know before, I just cold called. I just showed up on his doorstep, and he was so excited and so happy. Like, he definitely is into taking care of the trees. So he's definitely not inclined to just lop them down over nothing. And he's the one who told me he's had them pruned numerous times and had various things done. So I think he's interested in maintaining them.
Great.
But I mean, like I say, I could be persuaded if we had an alternative that looked perfecter or in some way more appealing in that way, I would be happy.
Well,
Nobody has
within
brought
the
one up.
city, you're going to be hard pressed to find one that is a really good example of one that has not been damaged by infrastructure.
Mhm.
You know, streets, sidewalks, sewer, water, everything. Trees in town generally are abused.
Right.
You know, and if we want to put a fir in town on the list, we should probably find one that doesn't really have issues like these probably do. And you don't know for sure unless you go and look inside. There's only a couple of ways to do that.
I guess there's also a little bit of a philosophical difference in that I know that it's important to Graham, like you were just saying, to have trees that we know will be here, that we're nominating trees that will have a heritage in town, and I am less concerned with that. Like, I'm more okay with the idea that some of these trees, which are heritage trees, could die of natural causes at some point, at any point, and that to me isn't really a concern. I mean,
Sure.
I don't, that doesn't change my interest in having them be heritage trees or not. But I understand the thinking, which is like, no, we should have a few trees that we know will carry their heritage forward into the future. So,
Any other comments, questions? Should we take a vote?
I was wondering, could we talk about the other ones and then vote at the end, or no?
If you wish, I am.
yeah,
I don't know.
I'd be into that.
Sure. Come back around to it.
Yeah.
Okay. So our next one is the Ponderosa Pine, 33 Seventh Street.
It's in the city right away.
Okay. Okay. Because I just was confused because it said property owner, city of Philomath, but then private property description.
That's an 80-foot right away.
Okay. Okay. So it's someone's lot, but in the right of way on the lot.
So if it falls, clean it up.
I think this tree is awesome. I just think it's a great example of that cool native Willamette Valley tree, and it looks like it's in relatively good health and is easy for people to go look at, which is great, you know, from like a tree tour standpoint. So I don't know, this checks lots of the boxes for me of a great tree to add.
Me as well. I looked at the top about as close as I could, and I couldn't really tell why there's that little bit of top dieback. But there's a dead portion of the top. The way that it's attached, it almost looks like something killed the top and it was a secondary leader that came out. But, you know, it could be anything from squirrels to woodpeckers.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I noticed that a couple of years ago, and I was
There's
like,
pretty heavy
"Ooh, what's
needlecast
going
at
on
the
up
top.
there?"
It's got stress at the top. And unless you go up there and inspect it, you won't know. Because I couldn't find a good view without climbing on somebody's roof to look at the attachment point. So,
Well, I live across the street, so you could always climb out my roof.
I'll remember that. But this one is a really good example. And the pitch larva doesn't seem to have much of an interest in it, which is doubly a good deal.
And do we have any like history or anything on it that we know of, or okay?
I had been told before, and I was mentioning this to you, that someone who's lived here a long time told me that there used to be another one just on the other side of Pioneer, another Ponderosa that was even larger.
Okay.
He said they were both huge, and that one came down years ago, and he can't remember why, but
Okay.
but yeah, when I mentioned that tree, he said, "Oh yeah, there was another one that went with it that was bigger."
There's another one on Pioneer and Asman, I think. But it's not nearly this big. It's on the other side.
Yeah, there's a couple of them if you're going up North Seventh, the last block there. or something there too.
But I agree, I like this one. Didn't expect to see a Ponderosa pine. Willamette, but is this the Willamette Valley variant? Do you know?
It would have to be.
The other ones would not survive.
It would
No, because it's here and it's so big. If you
Oh,
take one that's grown in a nursery and bend and bring it over here, it's just gonna struggle or die really quickly. So these are, these are the only ones that do well here.
Yeah, they're acclimated to the valley.
okay, thank you. Any other comments on this one? Which is actually my favorite tree in the whole area. I love this tree. So just try to vote it down.
Exercising your chair's prerogative.
Just saying.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful.
Great example,
Is it a healthy tree?
reasonably, considering the issues that it's got, because it does have a dynamic cabling system in it. And it lost a couple of leaders. It got some center rod in it. But what big leaf maple this age does not?
How old do you think it is?
Oh, I'd put it, judging from the size of the trunk without a lot of study, I'd put it at probably 100, 120.
Is that all? It looks older than that to me.
Well, it's always a factor of what's around it. I mean, if it did not have the cemetery, probably be more like 150.
Oh yeah, one it says on the sheet, approximate age 162 years from the founding cemetery.
There used to be a pretty large Douglas fir in the cemetery there that was removed about 10 or 12 years ago. And I believe that tree was about 130 years old.
Okay. Do we know why it was removed?
It was dropping big limbs on expensive gravestones.
Okay.
Yeah, cemeteries are a special situation.
Yeah.
People don't like the headstones, they get mashed.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Other than that, I think would have been a great tree.
Yeah.
At this point, decade too late on that one.
What's the lifespan of a big leaf maple like this? I mean, you're saying it's 130 years old.
Oh, out in the wild, you could probably go 400 or 500 years, but you wouldn't really like what's left of it.
Yeah.
All the big leaders would be busted, and it'd all be retrenched and rotted, and it wouldn't look good. But it'd be alive. They're real survivors, and it still put off so much seed it'd make you mad if you were near to it. You had to pick up all the starts.
You want to see a really big one, you can go out to Granger, North Corvallis. There's a huge one up there.
Oh, yeah, that tree is banana. I whipped around and did a U-turn when I drove past that one. And I was like, oh my God, that's huge.
Which
That
one?
one,
Huge. You go like to Lewisburg and
Granger.
like right around there and go to the right, and it's like a mile in between there and 99, and it's a big leaf maple, and it's on the left side, and there's an old house. I don't know anything about it, but it's gargantuan.
That's
Gorgeous, gorgeous.
I just wanted to say I appreciated the write-up about this one. How just look at it.
It doesn't need a hard sell.
The one clarifying thing too is, I know we talked about it last time, but that was a year ago. We're fine to do this for trees that aren't in Pomona.
We'd set up a 2-mile radius. I think.
Okay, cool.
Well,
One to 2 miles outside.
so that is something that we actually need to talk about,
Okay.
is the parameters, because when I approached the cemetery director about it, she was very excited and then wrote me back and said, "Oh, we're not eligible because we're not within the urban growth
Right.
boundary."
Because that's what I think on the website it says urban growth boundary.
Range Hall Road was, we selected one last year.
That's not a
Exactly.
boundary, okay.
So I don't know if the right, and she was like, "No, we're not eligible," and I was like, "You're eligible, just put it in there, we'll fix it."
Okay.
So I'm not sure what the
We
language.
already did.
Okay. I maybe we just need to update.
So is it 2 miles from the urban growth boundary?
2 miles from Wilton proper, so
What's Philomath proper? Where do you measure Philomath proper?
Like the city limits.
City.
the city limits.
Okay.
Not to include the urban growth area? I don't know.
Well, I just think the problem is like the urban growth boundary goes way far
Yeah,
north,
that
but
way,
not
this
south
way.
or east. Yeah. So, because like our urban growth boundary goes like all the way north of like West Hills and everything,
Right,
but it doesn't go south of like
right.
here.
Yeah,
Like very
it's
short.
very short.
Yeah.
It's a weird.
So, I mean, that makes sense, I guess, to just do 2 miles outside of city limits. If
It takes in a lot more area.
Yeah.
I mean, we need downtown Corvallis.
That's right.
I was thinking about it and I was like, I mean, a possibility is, do we even necessarily need to specify? I mean, the vast majority of any trees nominated will be obviously, most of them will be within, there won't be a question. But it obviously seems like ridiculous not to allow a tree like the one at the cemetery, and so, or even the one on Grange Hall, regardless of what their property boundaries might be, for obvious reasons. So, I mean, we could always just say that each tree is, do it on a case-by-case basis.
And there's no legal.
And somebody can make the argument for why it deserves to be a Philomath tree, and if,
Even though
Maybe
it's
that's
in
a bad idea.
Chicago.
yeah, I mean, somebody could be like, this is, or we would then be like, no, it's too far away, but,
Well, we don't have any issue with excluding a tree because it's too remote, then I don't see why we need to really have that stipulation.
which, the stipulated boundary,
It has to be within a certain
right.
distance from
I
that.
mean, and that is a possibility that somebody will be like, no, I wanna nominate this tree, and people may feel like, nah, that doesn't really, it's too far away. But I don't know, I'd be okay with people not approving a nomination for that reason, because it simply feels like it's outside of our area, yeah.
Well, but I think Corvallis has heritage tree program, the state of Oregon does.
Yeah.
I mean, nationally, there's programs, I mean, there's all kinds of,
Overlap.
yeah. Well, most of the time, the cities are the city, and then state is outside, and then nationally, that's a whole different ball of wax, but
Does the county have anything? Do we
I don't know if the county does specifically, I think it's a state after the municipalities.
I'm good with whatever. So I'm being real helpful today.
Well, we sort of arbitrarily chose, the boundary thing,
Well, I
so
think
we could
wanted-
arbitrarily choose it, or change it if we.
We wanted to be sure that Grange Hall was.
Yes. No, it's true, we had a tree we wanted to include,
And-
so we found a way to make that work.
Isn't this the city limit boundary on Mount Union?
Yeah.
So that tree is what, 50 yards from the city limit?
Yeah. Although technically the cemetery has a Corvallis address.
Right.
But yeah.
Oh, well.
I think we just wanna have something that's significant to Full.
Right. It's like culturally.
Cemetery is
It's
significant to Full.
Yeah.
significant.
Yeah.
Grange Hall Road is significant to Full.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Toledo, probably not.
Yeah.
So, we're okay.
Yeah.
We just
Yeah.
say Significant to Philomath, we can nominate it or not.
Sure.
So should we change the language, or should we simply take out the parameters language on the thing, or
I mean, I like that.
just leave it?
If we just take out geographical parameters and just say the guidelines are it has to be significant to Philomath.
Yeah, case by case.
Yeah.
I like that.
All right. Motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, please raise your hands and say aye. Aye.
Yes.
The motion was to remove the geographic boundary and just reword it as a tree must be significant to Philomath.
Squidgy enough.
And you made that motion.
I did.
Yeah.
Should we go back and vote on these? Any other comments?
Second. Did you say?
One comment about the maple tree.
Who seconded that motion really quick? Just so was that you? You?
Well, it was to
One of them.
pick one.
There. Yes, well, that-
Sorry, Graham. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I think that the Mount Union Cemetery Association, they just had a bunch of work done on that tree about a year ago.
Oh, cool.
And I believe that they had some kind of a tree risk assessment or some level to assessment done on the tree prior to that work happening, so it might be worth talking to them and find out if there's any other
I did.
more detailed information that they might have.
I talked to the guy who did the assessment and I asked him if he had any
Okay.
information or insight and he was like, nope, good.
If I ask who it was?
John,
I will.
yes.
That sounds like John.
Like maple flowers are delicious, battered and fried. And I was like, okay. Like it's beautiful, it's fine.
Okay. Let's see. So let's start with the Douglas firs on 9th. Are we in favor of naming these as heritage trees?
I guess I would be comfortable waiting, cause I've heard the concerns that maybe there are better specimens, so I guess I would be comfortable waiting, and if a better specimen is found, we can do that. And if not, we could come back to this maybe, and it seems like that makes the most sense to me. Okay, so do I need to make a motion for that, or we're just?
Sure,
Okay.
please.
I move that we table the Douglas firs on North 9th Street for now.
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Who's okay.
I like that. Well, that means I would ask that the people in this committee then start to actually actively
Look,
look, because I do believe that there is like, there's gotta be a perfect one of these somewhere around town, and because they're Doug firs, they're easy to overlook, because they're everywhere, so. I like this idea of like, let's hunt and get the best one we can get.
Might look up North 8th up by the mobile park.
Yeah, North 9th, North 8th.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right, in the end,
You wanna go that far up?
exactly.
You go up to North 8th Street area or something.
All right.
Okay.
Well, there are those oaks, my God, in the middle of the street that are huge,
Middle Street, you know.
considering those oaks too, but anyway.
Okay, how about the ponderosa pine on North 7th Street? All in favor of making this a heritage tree?
I
aye.
Yay. Vote is unanimous.
Did we need a motion on that, or are we good?
He's a real taskmaster, this one. You're all,
If we don't do it, it's easier on me, because I don't have much experience on minutes.
All right, and lastly, the big leaf maple at 2987 Mount Union. I'll make a motion to make this a heritage tree. Do I have a second? Oh, thank you. Any further discussion? All right. Please raise your hands and say aye.
Aye.
All right, so with that, I think we have a couple of homework items. We're all supposed to run out and look for a perfect Douglas fir.
would it be possible to get a height on the ponderosa? And I was thinking like, it might be nice to get a canopy for
You're
the
playing with?
maple.
Yeah.
I mean, cause it's pretty.
Do you guys
What's
have
this?
a
Wide,
drone?
broad,
Yeah.
No?
nice broad.
You can suggest that at the budget meeting.
I think with.
Would it be helpful? Oh, I'm sorry. Would it be helpful to have one?
Fun.
To have what?
Is there something?
I don't have a drone.
You have a
I
drone?
have a drone.
Can you measure the heights of these trees?
Yeah, I probably could.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Call me up.
I think with conifers, what is the common interesting numbers is the height of the tree and the trunk diameter, since it's usually a large trunk and then a more narrow canopy given the height. And then for a tree like the big leaf maple, the canopy spread is interesting because
Right.
it's such a wide tree and also the diameter.
Right. I've got the diameters of everything, but obviously not the, those.
Yeah, I've got I forget what it's called. Inclinometer.
Chronometer.
Yeah. I can get the heights on them.
Anybody can do
You
that.
know, have you talked to the people at North Seventh?
Yeah.
Even though that tree's in the right of way, I'm a little hesitant on putting up a plaque or anything. I don't want them to have to work around it. I mean,
Right.
because if we go with some kind of permanent marker, we're gonna have to put it somewhere where they're gonna have to mow around it, because they're maintaining that property. So
Right.
I think we need to come up with an option. We wanna mark ours, the city's gonna mark their trees, I just wonder how we're gonna. mark
Oh, okay, I didn't know if the city was,
Walk by it every day. There's
Okay.
almost no growth under the tree on the.
I just wanna make the, as a rental, I believe, it's a duplex, I just wanna make. I got a big old 6x6 sign out there saying this is Heritage Tree. And there's a meeting there. We'll come up with something, but I just wanted to make sure everybody was good with that, so. No, I went and met with the, guy down at the sign shop today, and I think I got a pretty good idea. I'll send it out. I'm still working on some details on it.
Cool, cool. That was one of my questions that I saw on the website. It was like,
I found a simple one. City of Portland has one.
oh, cool.
So I kinda took it, and it's not gonna be, cause there's a lot of fluffy ones out there, you know, this is dedicated to.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, I think we just need to keep it simple.
Okay,
You walk up to say, oh, it's an Oregon white oak, or.
okay, sure. Cool.
Could you also comment on the trees that Gianna asked about on North 11th and Applegate, is it? You exchanged emails about,
10th and Applegate?
Oh, that was, that vacant lot, currently for sale. Us to take those trees down from a contractor.
the ones along the edge of the
On
property.
Applegate Street. There's 3 trees.
Oh.
They're
Like
trees
10th and
that they're in
Applegate.
city right away. We told them no until that lot is, hasn't been a final plan on that lot been submitted to the city. So
Okay.
I talked to Chris and he said, we're not doing anything until the final plan is submitted for that lot. There's talks of something going in there. I'm not sure what it is, but until the final plan comes.
Well, I think at one point it was a restaurant, but then
That is gone. I talked to that owner and they said they've sold the lot to somebody else, so,
Oh, I see.
so it's somebody else.
Oh, this is like right across the street from the
The
library.
library, yeah.
Yeah, right over here.
Okay.
But right now, it's, there's nothing gonna happen. There's 3 trees that they asked to take out. We don't know.
Maybe.
You told him no question.
Told them not yet.
Not yet. I thought they were gonna come out during this street project, but apparently, I was originally told they were all coming out.
Oh, interesting.
We shall see.
Any other questions, business items? Tree comments, observations?
Yeah, I have a question about,
Matt Lehman? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
He put his hand up.
I was gonna suggest South 30th Street, there's probably 4 or 5 good examples of Douglas fir there. And then right on the corner of South 30th and Applegate Street, there's a house with 2 huge ones right in the front yard that are right on Applegate Street. Might be worth taking a look at those. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Gianna?
I was gonna ask about, organizing some sort of a tour, bike ride, walk, something to visit these trees. And when we would wanna do that and who, is this a city thing? Is this
Can't be.
it can't be?
I think
Why?
insurance wise,
Oh,
we
so
put it
somebody gets
on,
hit
it's
by a
gonna be
car?
ran over ramp. That Kelpie's working on a brochure of the new trees or some of these trees that's added in and, Henry doing the other one, she said the bite. We put a map out there that that says use this route. Well, people can start anywhere, but then somebody gets ran over, we're kind of, could be on the hook for it. So she just wanted to put the brochure out and people can go look at them. Not in any specific route.
Okay. So the new brochure will have, I mean, obviously the format will have to change, so, since you can't fit all of them on one piece of paper the way it is.
Well, I think what she said she was gonna try to do was, take the, cemetery one and Grange Hill and put them on as little insets on a map, where she's got more room, since we're kind of centralized, I think, with most of them
Yeah,
in a certain area,
Oh, I
she'll
see.
put those, she was working on that
okay,
last week, so I don't know where she's at with that.
okay. Will the exact locations be fixed, and if there's a physical map with the dots and whatnot? Cool. So if the city can't sponsor an activity, can a human just do it? I mean,
I
Yeah,
think
you
so.
can do whatever you want.
I guess, right?
Is there a way for the city to share information about an event like that if they're not sponsoring it? If it's like a, you know, a community
Right.
organized event that then,
Oh, right.
We
We
do
can
that
find
all
out.
the time.
yeah,
Yeah.
something
With
like that.
Grange Hall event.
Okay,
I mean,
yeah,
it
it could
seems
go-
great to use the platform that we have here organizing this. We can get more people to an event like that without taking on any liability. That seems valuable.
I'm curious about the whole liability thing, because the city does other stuff that's covered by our insurance. Like we have like Citizens Academy where a group of people goes around doing things.
Right.
Is that?
That's true.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying we should. I want to learn more about that. But
They may have to sign a volunteer.
Underwriting about that.
right, I mean, if you just sign a little form or something beforehand. I don't know.
Oh, that's true.
Well, the city could put out a self-guided brochure or something, couldn't you?
I think that's what she's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
A self-guided one, basically.
Okay.
I have a group, question for the group. So we've nominated 2 trees, right?
Uh-huh.
One is the Mount Union.
Uh-huh.
When are we giving them their piece of paper that says congratulations?
Didn't we do that on Arbor Day last year?
Yeah.
We did it last year because we had 2 Arbor Day events. We had one at the school that I ran, and then we had the other one at the Paul Skirvin Park. We're only doing one this year. I
At
don't
the
know if
school?
it's really appropriate for that kind of. I'm thinking if we could get this rounded up by the April 8th council meeting, we have the heritage tree stuff to be discussed. That's something we could throw in there by then, Kevin, you think?
I would think so.
It's just basically
Part of it.
the cemetery folks, whoever their representative is. The other one's the city, and Kevin are gonna be there anyway, so you can hand us a piece of paper and say, here you go.
Oh, yeah.
But the Mount Union one, and whoever that represent would have to be invited to.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can make the certificate in about 15 minutes,
Yeah.
so.
Sure.
Do you wanna put out whoever you talk to is
Yeah. It's a board, and I think
somebody?
when I brought it up, she said I'll have to talk to the board, and very quickly the board of the cemetery was enthusiastic, so maybe some people on the board would be happy to.
I mean, if we could get at least one person to come and see the certificate,
Yeah. That's a great idea.
whoever that may be.
So we'll just use the same certificate as last year?
Yeah, I think so, it works. I mean, it's in significant changes to be on it. We have ours in our office posted up, so
Do you? Oh, that's nice. You have a little wall with,
a little wall of fame there.
exactly.
I have a question related to that. Gary, you had started an email about a month ago about Arbor Day. Might be just kind of out of the loop about it, but what are the plans for that this year? And have we
This
seen
year,
any-
we're going back to the tree giveaway day at the school,
Okay,
or they'll come to our compound. I'll shoot you guys out an email.
okay.
It's on April 26th, on Friday.
How many trees do you give away?
Each kid gets at least one tree. We usually have, I order 200 of them from the Arbor Day Foundation, so we always have extra. If they come, I've ordered them over a month ago and they still haven't showed up. I'm a little nervous. As I get closer, I get a little more nervous because they have a window. It's February through May 5th, and I'm like, May 5th is not going to work. One of these in April 26th.
What kind do you order?
We ordered, I knew you'd ask me today. 4 different varieties. I sit with Lige, who's our city arborist, and him and I choose 4 different varieties that are meet our zone, because they won't send you ones that don't meet your zone hardiness. So they'll meet our. I know there's a tulip tree, a redbud. I can't remember the other 2. I think dogwood, maybe. I'm not sure.
They always like to send you dogwoods.
It was. I think it's dogwood. I always picked a dogwood. There were 4 of them.
No Douglas firs.
No. Nothing that's
375 feet tall?
that big. Obviously. It's like something I mentioned earlier, street tree, or trees are nice when they're big out in the country, but big trees like that. There can be a hazard.
So, as you said in the email, this is our 30th year.
It is.
Which is pretty cool.
That's
Good job.
Okay.
For everybody who's part of that. Are we doing anything in particular to celebrate that?
I just got word from the ODF. They're coming to our council meeting on the 8th, and they're going to present the plaques and the flags.
Will there be cake? 30 years.
They're going to come. It's
Okay.
actually cool because usually we just get a flag. This one actually says 30 years on it. So
Nice.
flag for the year.
Yeah, that's great.
30 years is a lot. We're, like I said last year, we're like number 10 in the state. So.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good for a small town.
It is good.
This is our tree city designation.
Next year, I have a big event planned. Hoping I'll actually apply for the Tree City of the Year award. We won that a couple years back, but we're going to plant a bunch of trees along our new road that's being built on 16th this year. We got to plant 38 trees. So
Despite the school board.
I'll invite all the kids from the school to plant trees, and that's going to be a big project. So looking forward to that one. That one, we will need your help on that one, Greg, because it's going to be a big one. A lot of kids.
And you said the ODF thing is on the 8th.
At the council meeting.
Yeah, okay, not the 22nd.
26th is our Arbor Day celebration.
Right, just because we also had a council meeting on the 22nd.
It'll be this,
Okay, cool.
All right, any other comments, questions, issues?
Just the one quick thing that I think I brought up at a council meeting from something you talked to me about, was I do think it'd be cool if the city can, not urgently, I know we have a lot going on, but like look at areas of the city that lack tree canopy and then actually sort of target residences that may be open to receiving trees.
we do that.
Okay.
We do that now.
Okay, so
Elijah
what,
and I, we planted, he planted, what we do, 30 trees last year.
okay, so how do you like go about that kind of?
We go about, we only plant in the right of way.
Okay.
Plant in their yards.
Well, so again, that was, I guess, the thing we were wondering is like if a property owner is open to, like, we give out the trees to the kids, but like if a property owner is open to receiving one on their private property, is that something
We can't do that. We can do it in our right of way.
we can't plant it or we can't give them one?
I think we can't buy it, purchase it,
Okay.
because then, if we do that, then we have to do that for all.
It'd have to be a council
Yeah, that
decision to
Right.
do so many trees or something and have a raffle or give away to whoever wants them or something.
Yeah.
But I do know last year I invited the power company came down,
Okay.
and they brought 2 $1,000 coupons to go to like Garland's and buy trees.
Okay.
City used one of them. Chris, I think, I don't know what he did with the other one, but then they also gave us 10 $150 ones that Chris handed out to local citizens.
Okay. Okay.
And I assume they're going to be there this year. And
Okay.
they've already said they would donate some of these coupons.
Okay.
go to a local,
Yeah,
they won't give you one like Peoria Gardens where, you know, you can get lots of trees, they go to a retail type store instead.
okay, okay.
I think that was pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know, I just maybe something for us to think about with,
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, and I'm sure there are homeowners who would be willing to plant sequoias or Douglas firs or whatever. But I think it would also be hard if you're a developer and you're doing, you're building homes, every home has to have a tree. Why don't you pay for my trees?
well, I guess mine is sort of a retroact, like in areas of the city that lack tree canopy right now, how can we
Change that.
improve that? And then if you're building new things, then yeah, that's on you to, cause I don't think anyone on the city council would vote to like go make homeowners who don't have sufficient tree canopy pay for a bunch of trees to plant. That would not be a politically feasible thing for us to do. So instead, they'll pay for them through their tax money. But I mean, I just think it's something we should look at, right? Of like,
Good idea.
yeah, just like because we already have like GIS and satellite and everything that we can look at sort of where are areas in town that are lacking canopy, and then can we just, I mean, and you know, worst case, we ask a homeowner and they're like, no, and then okay, you know, sure. But I think most people would be open, and if we can, okay, I mean, yeah, and if we can, you know, I mean, how much does a tree cost?
I think the 2-inch calipers were paying $150 plus.
Okay. So I mean, if we put like a couple $1,000s to that, we can, yeah. So I don't know, just something for us to think about. But and wherever Matt went, he got on an airplane.
I think it's a good idea.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Then we can get the council on board, hopefully.
I mean, I could look at, you know, like Starlight Village up there, they could use a lot of trees, cause they would use a
Right.
row of trees, and
Sure.
now they would clear cut the whole thing, and it's pretty bare up there. They could
Yeah.
put a lot of trees up there.
Yeah.
Somebody could give them some kind of financial incentive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would it make it easier if there was some kind of an application process where the city had trees, some number of trees available that we're willing to buy, let's say 30 trees a year or something, 10 trees a year, and then private property owners could just apply to receive one of those trees with the commitment that they will plant it on their property, rather than us targeting people saying that we want to highlight you a tree, but not your neighbor. You know,
Yeah.
like we're just like, we have trees available, come ask us, and
Yeah.
you
I
know,
guess maybe what I was thinking would make the most sense is like if the city could like highlight on a map like this area and this area are lacking canopy. If you live in these areas, you could apply, because I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I'm in favor of everyone getting more trees, but like I don't think the intent was necessarily like if you're already in a neighborhood with a ton of tree canopy,
Yeah.
then the city should subsidize more tree canopy. You know, like sure that's cool, but like I would rather we subsidize areas that have
That's hard.
less. So I think that maybe could, like if Public Works or someone could kind of just put out a map that's like if you live, you know, between 7th Street and 10th Street, between Applegate and, you know, something, then like you're eligible, and if you live, you know, and then and then homeowners in that area could apply for, yeah, like the first 50 trees or something. But,
I love that.
okay. And thanks for, that was like 99% your idea that I
That makes
just
it
forgot a little
targeted
bit of.
and material.
forgot about it too.
Well, good. Here we go. This is how my brain works. Someone will tell me something. Like you guys got my email today from last summer. The idea from last summer. This is someone will tell me something. I will forget about it for a year, and I'm like, and you know what? So yeah.
I do like Graham's idea of having like your thing, they come
Yeah.
out.
Sure.
You need a tree.
Yeah.
Then they're saying, hey, big brothers.
Right. Sure. Yeah.
And there's no harm in who cares about that program going around and door knocking
Right,
and say, hey,
right.
did you know that there's a program that the city created? You can get a tree.
I mean, or even
If you live in this neighborhood, you know,
Right, I mean, or even-
here's the form. Why don't you just go
Right.
stick this in and get your tree.
I mean, even if we like just sent little postcards or something to like that neighborhood, just being like, hey, if you would like a tree, go to publicworks.philomath, whatever, and then something. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
is this something you would wanna bring back to like the Arbor Day or the, tree board and say, hey, we got 30 trees to give away, we got 40 applicants, are we gonna pick then, or, cause I mean, we could get a lot, or we could get none.
I guess I don't know what, I was just kind of thinking it would be you guys, the tree board. That seems like a decent use of the tree board.
I would like to have the tree board involved in it, that way, nobody's saying, well, Gary picked up, 5 of his buddies or something.
Yeah, yeah.
No, not my buddies. So. But I would think that the tree board would like,
Yeah.
hey, we think we need 5 over here, 5 over
Yeah.
here.
Okay.
Graham's probably more tree savvy than I am. He could tell me which trees are better to plant in those areas. So.
I mean, one of the things that I care about as a part of that is that we're giving out trees that are actually good trees to plant
Yeah.
in those locations, and it's not giving someone a tree that's gonna just die in the first couple of years or
Right.
become a nuisance
Yeah,
or liability
yeah,
10 years down the road, 20 years down the road. So
yeah.
those are just details we'd have to figure out, I guess.
I guess
Some
one,
kind of informed
any kind of
planting.
fruit bearing tree, we're probably not going to want to plant close to our right of way.
Right.
You're going to plant in the front yard and it's going to
Yeah.
spill apples out into the street.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably not gonna work.
Well, I mean, I think that's part of why I liked this idea, because if we're the ones giving out the trees, we can control what, as opposed to just like telling everyone to plant trees and then they plant whatever they get, like that could get messy, literally. Yeah. But, because I think, if we can like target this neighborhood and we're like, okay, we know the characteristics of this neighborhood, these 3 types of trees would work best or something, and then.
Well, it would also be nice having arborists who could be like, what would work great in this yard, right here, this is a perfect place for this.
Right, sure.
You over there, because of this shade or this or that, this would be the better. Most people, I think, would be open to that. They'd love to have somebody who knows, because we've all
Yeah.
thought it was a great idea, and then we're like, oh, I guess.
I put bamboo in my yard and I don't think it's a bad idea.
Exactly. I think most people would be happy to have that kind of an informed
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
advice about that.
I can like write a little something up and then
Sure.
share
You're
it.
gonna have to go to council.
Yeah. And I can share that back.
Sure.
Okay.
Do you want to take it to council on the 8th?
I mean, that would make sense, I guess. I don't know if that's a quick.
3-ish.
If we can, why not? But since we're already doing all that other stuff, and I mean, if we want to do any budget stuff with it, we should get it sooner rather than later. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I can do that.
I don't really like the idea of the tree board reviewing
Sure.
every application for a tree, just because it seems like lots of detail. But things like how many trees can we do, what kinds of trees do we want to see planted, those kind of things seem like useful conversations to have.
Okay.
I think if we can just pick how many trees can we afford that we think will actually get used, and then give those out till we run out of trees, and then if there's more interest in that, then we look at extending that somehow.
Well, if you
wonder-
pick the right selection of trees, you're pretty safe with people putting it almost wherever they want. As long as it goes in the ground right and it gets its first year or two.
Yeah.
You make sure it's established, and then for the most part, natives and not in a hole that
Right.
swims all winter.
Right. I mean, we can
Most
give them
part,
like a piece of
you
paper.
could do pretty well with most of the
Yeah.
trees.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. Awesome. I'll write something up.
I reach out to Chris and see if we can get it
Yeah.
on the agenda.
Okay.
We can do that.
I'll send him an email and I'll CC you.
Sounds good. Any other items? Okay, then I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you all for.
Yes. Next start.
You know, she got us, Helen, or-